Oprah Winfrey told an audience in Edmonton, Canada last night that she thinks Armstrong can be a hero again. Last week in an interview with her, Armstrong admitted using performance-enhancing drugs. We learned the same day that Notre Dame football star Manti Te'o never really had a girlfriend who died. These scandals raise questions about who can we really trust. Let's talk about that now with New York Times columnist Frank Bruni. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So what do you learn from these two things in terms of what it says to you about trust?
Well, I don't know. I mean, one of the things I learned is if a story seems like it's potentially too good to be true, maybe we should wonder if it's too good to be true. You know?
Didn't your mom say that to you when you were a little kid?
I mean, you know, 7 Tour de France victories in a row, constant questions about whether he's doping. The strenuousness of his denials, I think made a lot of us believe for a long time. Because I don't know about you, but when I tell a little white lie, it's all over my face, and I don't kind of ratchet up the denial to that sort of gale force.
Yes. Yeah. Sweating profusely, never a good sign.
Right. Yeah, that's me.
But you said there are two different situations between Lance and Manti, but you said that they do have something in common. What is that?
I think what they have in common is each of them had an incredibly strong investment in sticking with their tale. Now, we don't know if Manti, we don't know what he knew, when he knew it, to what degree he was a victim of this hoax, or to what degree he may have kind of conspired in it, or at least kind of let it happen. But in both of their cases, there was a story that the public loved, the perpetuation of which really served their economic interests, kept the spotlight on them, kept them adored, and so they had very powerful motivation to keep it going.
And so do you agree with Oprah that he could be a hero again?
I don't know. In Lance Armstrong's case, when they roll that footage of the denials over time, I mean, it was almost, he was aggrieved that anyone even asked him about it. I think the act of contrition that he'll need to perform has to be a lot bigger, and it has to go on a lot longer than what we've seen so far.
And the other element of this also is the intimidation of people in order to keep the story.
Yes. I'm really glad you mentioned that, because with Manti, I'm not really sure who the victims, if any, of this story are. With Lance Armstrong, there are a lot of victims. There are people he sued. There are people he defamed. In the interest of perpetuating that lie, he smeared a lot of people. And
did grievous damage to the sport.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
and I think you will say he knows it's going to take more than one interview. But I like your thinking, Frank, that you said when it comes to trust, that we as people, believe in fairy tales.
That's right.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean,
I'm thinking, I don't know if we believe in fairy tales.
Well, what I mean by that is I think with both of these stories, we have to ask ourselves not just what was done to us, but the degree to which we handed over, you know, our trust, our gullibility. We love these sorts of big, wonderful stories. Take the Manti Te'o situation. This girlfriend was never produced. Yes. If you go back and you look at the transcripts of some of the interviews he did, now you say, gee, no one asked this follow-up, that follow-up. I mean, we loved this tale of double grief and someone valiantly performing through it. And because of that, I think we deliberately didn't ask some tough questions that now, in retrospect, it looks like we should have.
Because we like the story.
Yeah.
We like the story. Always good to see you, Frank Bruni. Always good to see you.